Francisco.
Well, the Northeast calms down after the most recent winter storm, but in some areas you should prepare for a blanket of snow when you wake up on Sunday. We'll explain in our forecast. Good evening, I'm Kim Perez.
And I'm Paul Emick. We'll also have a live report on big Super Bowl 32. That's in San Diego. We'll talk to Bill Keneally in a couple of minutes. But first, let's start with the Northeast. Some rain overnight and through the morning hours in Boston, over 2 inches recorded. Even though the rain kind of diminished down to drizzle later in the day, be on the lookout for a little accumulation of yield snow there. Going to have full details on the way in your forecast just a little bit later. We'll talk a bit more about that. Now, the road conditions today in downtown Portland, Maine were, in a word, messy. If you had to be out in the slush, not an easy journey at all. A little sleet, freezing rain, but the roads can still be very slippery. It's not as bad as that, so take care if your travel plans are enabling you to get out there and about. Have seen some messes here with the snow. Again, not as slippery as some other stuff we've seen, but a little mess there. Here's the happenings tonight. A little front kind of hanging out here. It's been hanging out for way too many days. As it moves on, the best of the moisture gets scooped out ahead of it. Now, actually, the best moisture tonight is still out in the ocean, not really affecting anybody except the maritime interests. But along the coast here, behind the cold front leading edge of colder air, the squeeze is being put on. As cold air moves in, we're kicking out some snow where we have temperatures aloft sufficient. In other words, way up there, the boundary layer, if it's cold enough for snow, we see it fall as snow all the way down. Some places are reporting a bit of freezing rain. Now, around Binghamton, even, we report a little light freezing drizzle at times tonight. What's up with that? Well, we see sometimes some rainfall all the way down. But when it falls, the coldest layer of air may encounter might be at the surface, very shallow layer of cold air below freezing. That's why we've been seeing a few problems. Look at this, Elmira 31, even toward Binghamton, a little cool too. That's why we had a little drizzle that's been freezing there. Also 40 toward New York City, and that's why we're seeing rain here. But 32 at Bangor and 25 at Caribou, that's why we're seeing the freezing rain and freezing drizzle throughout most of the state of Maine. Still lots of problems here on Bangor, also on toward Caribou and Holton, Maine, reporting freezing rain. Into the city, we're kicking in the rain. That's good news. Those warm temperatures help a lot. Throughout New York State, though, again, a little freezing drizzle reported through here. Not a lot, just a bit. Around Philly, in the metro, a lot of rain, but some of that rain mixed with snow, especially just on the northeastern side of town. Altoona, Lancaster, Harrisburg, Middletown, even Allentown reporting a little snow. Toward Pittsburgh, still around McCandless, too, might expect just a little bit of additional light snowfall. Some mixes of rain and snow around D.C. and even toward Wilmington reporting just a little bit of snow. Close-up vantage point shows the city and moving in more wet stuff. It's not really going to amount to too much, though, as far as the rain goes, but snowfall potential, there is a bit of that, maybe heavy just to the west of Philadelphia. Let's shift focus now. Have a look at the west. With that, here's Kim Perez.
Thanks, Paul. What seems the Northwest can't get a break from rain and wind, and today is no exception. Seattle and Portland received more rain today, and high winds buffeted the coast. Let's check the current conditions. Well, here's that front moving through, and it is starting to weaken. That's what we've been seeing. The front's coming through. It'll get windy, it'll get rainy, and the front weakens and moves on, and some of that energy moves in the northern Rockies, and we see some snowfall. The same old story here with this front coming through. A few showers still lingering behind it. And, well, it looks like we do have another storm system off the coast back here that we'll be monitoring, that will be moving through tomorrow night. So still cloudy, still a few showers. Southern California and into Arizona, beautiful weather for the next couple of days here. Seattle, a few showers. It is tapering off, though, tonight. We had some heavy rain earlier in Quileute, over an inch of rain. Even some of the coastal areas here receiving ½ inch, maybe up to an inch of rainfall. Snow levels should start to come down to about 2,500 feet tonight, but tomorrow they should be coming back up again, maybe to about 5,000 feet. And it'll be windy, so watch out along the coastal areas tonight. We do have gale warnings still out to Point St. George and heavy surf advisories out to Florence, Oregon. Now, we talked about that next storm system. Here it is on our water vapor loop. It'll get here by Sunday, maybe Sunday afternoon. So we'll see a little bit of a break for the Pacific Northwest, but conditions should start to go downhill again by tomorrow afternoon. Well, looking pretty good here in Southern California. Let's get an update. Here's Paul.
That's right, Kim. Check your watch. Okay, we're less than 24 hours away from the start of the Super Bowl, big Super Bowl 32. Joining us live to let us know exactly what's happening tonight in San Diego on Super Bowl Eve. Here's Bill Keneally giving us a complete report on the happenings on the West Coast. How are things in San Diego tonight, Bill?
They're lovely as ever, Paul. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful night. I saw that water vapor imagery, kind of a menacing little system out there, but safe to say it's still a couple of days away at the very earliest. And tonight, Once again, cooling down probably in the high 50s by now, but we should bottom out around 50 and then zoom right back to about 70 here at Qualcomm Stadium. Let's check out those numbers now, see what's happening as of the mid-evening hour. 61 officially up there at the airport. Well, we're probably a little lower in the high 50s, I'll say, inland. But here the Packard cheerleaders in the background. Dew point now 52 degrees. Relative humidity checks in at 72%, but not to worry. Again, it's going to fall dramatically tomorrow. The winds are now calm. Skies are clear. Pressure roughly 1,017 millibars. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Forecast for the bowl game, the big game. Sunshine, upper 60s, and kickoff about 3:20 in the afternoon. We may top out around 70, but again, start to fall slowly thereafter, but still just lovely for football. And tell you what, Paul, let's go back and see what's going on back home. A lot of
Well, it looks like the Northeast at least is calming down after the most recent winter storm, but in some areas you should prepare for a blanket of snow when you wake up on Sunday. We'll explain that in our forecast. Good evening, I'm Kim Perez.
And I'm Paul Emick. We're going to have a live report from a place that is anything but calming down. It's revving up for Super Bowl 32 at San Diego coming up a bit later. But first, let's start off with a look at the Northeast. The winding down didn't really begin overnight last night. Rain overnight through the morning hours in Boston. Over 2 inches recorded, even though the rain diminished to just drizzle later in the day. But be on the lookout, a little snow accumulation. Could see a little wet snow adding up here. And have full details in your forecast just a bit later. And we'll also talk about some snow we're seeing tonight, just a couple of seconds. Here's the road conditions today for downtown Portland, Maine. In a word, messy. You had to be out in this massive slush today. Just not an easy journey. Now, these conditions not as bad as sleet or freezing rain, but the roads can still be slippery. Take care if your traveling is in your plans, or if traveling itself is in your plans, do be careful. Here's the biggest of the mess makers we've had in a couple of weeks or a couple of days. It's been hanging on for a few days, too. It's moving on, and the heaviest moisture is ahead of it. Fronts are giant lifters. Leading edge of cooler air moves in low to the ground like a snowplow and does all the scooping. Well, it's scooped about all it can, and we're kicking a lot of moisture, boom, out in the Atlantic, only affecting maritime interests right now. Behind the cold front, colder air, a little moisture left, and a little squeeze going on. So we're going to bring out a little more snowfall here, too. Some of the moisture is not waiting on the front because warm fronts don't move in like a snowplow. They kind of go opposite. They come, they will pass your head before your feet as they move over. This front, though, as it moves in, the warm air overriding the cold air close to the surface, a little moisture says, can't wait. Has to flop on over the top of it and jump over. As that moisture moves over, it's falling down in places where we have a shallow layer of cold air at the surface, and the result is some freezing rain. Tonight, 32 in Bangor, freezing rain. Caribou seeing rain, freezing conditions at the surface, 25. Some spots around like northeastern burbs of Philly, even toward Pittsburgh, it's cold at the surface, but way up there, it's cold too. So what falls as snow makes its way down for the total trek. There's a look at Maine again. Again, all this reporting, mostly freezing rain, some freezing drizzle. Throughout New York State, reporting a little bit of snow now into southeastern parts of the state, too, and kind of some south central areas as well. Around Boston, eventually some wet snow works its way in. Around the city tonight, around JFK, LaGuardia, throughout New York, around New Canaan, too, expect a little bit of rainfall that could become some wet snow. Philly reporting rain at the top of the hour, but a bit of snow north and west, so expect some of that to mix in. Even Wilmington reporting a flake or two every now and then. There's a close-up look at some of the wet weather. Eventually, we could see some snowy weather, probably piling up just kind of inland a bit from the city, maybe 1 to 3 inches. We could have a bit of that. And a little part of the upper Midwest, too, kicking up an occasional snowflake. A little freezing rain, too, into parts of South Dakota. Let's shift focus now and look toward the west. With that, here's Kim Perez.
Thanks, Paul. It seems the Northwest just can't get a break from rain and wind, and today is no exception. Seattle and Portland received more rain today, and high winds buffeted the coast. Let's take a look at the current conditions. Well, we do have our front that has come through, and typically ahead of our front, you'll see the winds picking up, you'll see the rain coming in, and then after the front comes through, we'll see the winds come down a little bit and a few showers developing. Still a little bit unstable here because the cold air in the upper levels is coming over the area where we still have moisture in place, and that's kind of an unstable environment. We have showers developing, but they should be tapering off later on tonight. We'll talk about that in our forecast, but here's a satellite vantage point. You notice here that actually it doesn't look too bad. We do have some high clouds that are rolling into Oregon and to California, and that is just going to mean that we're going to have another storm coming in tomorrow. So hopefully you'll get a chance to get out and enjoy tomorrow morning, because that might be the only chance you're going to get here on Sunday afternoon. For Seattle, just a few scattered showers, snow levels about 2,500 feet tonight. They're going to be dropping way down there below pass level, but they should be coming up tomorrow to about 5,000 feet, kind of a roller coaster effect here with fronts coming through like that. 3 to 6 inches is the forecast. We do have some gusty winds along the coastal area, some downsloping winds here in Wyoming too tonight. Watch out for the gale warnings along the coast and heavy surf advisories tonight. And unfortunately, like I talked about, we do have another storm lurking off the coast, and that will be here by Sunday afternoon. Now, what's happening here in Southern California? Big Super Bowl tomorrow. Let's get the details from Paul.
Well, we are less than 24 hours away from the start of the Super Bowl, Big Super Bowl 32. Joining us live now from San Diego, beautiful city, is Bill Keneally to give us a report on the happenings on the West Coast. Bill, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you're a nice guy and all, but I asked to talk to the cheerleaders. They said, no, you have to talk to Bill again. So at least tell me what's going on tonight in the big city.
Okay, I can do that. All right, Paul, what do you want to hear? You want to hear that it's a showery night, stormy day ahead tomorrow? You're not going to get it out of me, though. We have just prototypical San Diego type of weather, just what Alex Spanos, the owner of the San Diego Chargers, said he could deliver, and guess what? That's what it's going to be. We had a great day today, high around 70, and now we're cooling off some tonight, but still just a beautiful evening to be had, and there's quite a lot of hubbub going on around here right now. Let's check out those numbers, see what's happening. As we look at the 8 o'clock hour down at the San Diego International Airport, air temperature 61, the dew point at 52, making for a relative humidity value of about 72%. The winds have gone calm, sky cover clear, setting up for a good day tomorrow, I think so, and the pressure roughly 1,017 millibars. And here we go, here's that forecast, and you know what? This could have been Friday's forecast, could have been today's forecast, could have been Monday's forecast for that matter. Things just aren't changing, and how do you improve on perfection? Sunshine and upper 60s about game time. Let's take it back now, Paul, to the folks around Lambeau Field and see what was going on as they made their final preps for Super Bowl 32. This guy having a grand old time. Boy, I tell you what, that's some hard pack there, I'd say, in Green Bay. Oh, they're launching on those saucers, and again, a pretty typical day. I think I saw the high temperature in Green Bay was in the upper 20s. Now, moving on to Denver, Colorado. What is missing from this picture? Now, I know the average high is like, what, 42, I think, in Denver, so we don't tend to hold snow cover, but there's virtually none now. These guys are just ducky over the weather, and I can't blame them, you know, pushing 50 earlier today in the Denver area. So, Paul, it was a beautiful day today. Not going to be a hot day by any means, and it's not going to be muggy either. That makes us kind of harken back to a couple of very warm Super Bowls. And both of these, by the way, played at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. And how about that? Both won by the 49ers, Super Bowl 23 and Super Bowl 29. And in both cases, the high was 81 degrees, and I'm sure there was plenty of mugginess to accompany that. But not to worry here. We're high and dry, and we're looking great for Super Bowl 32. We'll come back with one more for the evening in about 30 minutes. Paul?
Great. Sounds like things are going there very well, Bill. Thanks a lot. Reporting
Okay.
live from the site of Super Bowl 32. Now for the forecast for the whole country and a closer look at a snowy morning for the Northeast, here's Kim Perez.
Thanks, Paul. It definitely looks pretty good for the Southwest and the Southeast. High pressure and control over both areas. We're going to have a pretty nice morning. It might be that morning to head out to the porch, have a cup of coffee, have your paper ready. Looking good here. Now here's our low moving up the coast.